Hello, this is my first vlog. My name is Mohamad Alsharif, and the topic of the first with the first guest speaker, Maggie, was about system architecture. And so the first thing that she started to talk about is the importance of distributed computing and what are the important things to look at when developing a system, a distributed system. So she talked about security and how there are two things that are important in it. First thing is firewall to protect the system and encryption, and that there are many ways for encryption to be used. There is HTTPS. She pointed out that's one way of encryption, and end-to-end encryption, which is the popular choice currently. There is also data classification, which she talked about how the private information and the personal information and the level of importance of that data and where it should be kept. And finally, she wanted to show us through her application that she worked on, how does the data communicate with each other and how it works. So the first thing that, and yes, finally she showed the integrations and the different types of protocols, SOAP, web services, MQ, REST, and HTTPS, and SFTP. So the first application that she worked on in the early 1990s was the licensing financial management system. It's the first one, and it was very simple in terms of the amount of boxes in it and how it reaches the point it needs to. There weren't a lot of boxes in them because she talked about how it was much simpler, and there was only one mainframe, and that there is not much space to work with. So it starts from the Netscape browser, and it goes from the Go web server to the net data and into the data DB2Com system, which the type of database that was used at the time, and then it reaches the mainframe. And so the next one that she worked on was much more complex in terms of how it looked, because there were many boxes, and it was clarified that each box is a different server in the system. And the second one is the GSGO, which is for the Global Credit Solution, and it's for credit analysts to use to check FICO scores and whether it's a risk to loan money to clients, and whether they were eligible for that. She went also into the next application she worked on in the early 2000s, which was the Message Hub for the financial world to communicate with each other. And here she also elaborated on how if everything was inside of the Message Hub in the system, like the pink box, it would look much more complex, and it wouldn't look as nice as the way that she has done it. And finally, she went also into the early 2000s, where she worked on the integration between the front end and back end of the system. It's to have a point in the system where everything is secured and it can be reached, which is the blue zone, and then the green zone, which is also an internal part of the system, but it's not as secured. And the purpose is for the accounting information for clients. And finally, the application that she is currently working on is the TMG, which is that how IBM talk to banks and how they facilitate money expenses from them to the banks. And that was the final thing that she talked about. Thank you.